I'm Sheriff John Bonnell. I've been in law enforcement long enough to know some things never change. A podcast is a beautiful and exciting machine, but if you don't respect its weaknesses, it can be a dangerous ride. Some suspects think making a podcast is a joke or a game, but officers will tell you it's no joke for them, it's life or death. Tonight, we pay tribute to the brave men and women of American law enforcement, and all proceeds will go to the RobbocasT Foundation for World Love.
I don't know what's so historic about 2 feet of snow. Sounds pretty common for this time of year to me.
Drama makes headlines. Time to get terrified and freak out.
2 to 3 feet of snow in one day is not common here. I highly doubt we'll get over 2 feet. It's all hype. Definitely not historic either way.
Hurry up and go drop a bunch of money at the grocery store and fill your tank. We might not be able to leave our house for a day. Oh my God! Now, some people have living situations where a storm like this can be devastating. Loss of power leading to loss of heat leading to busted pipes. A way to be sympathetic of possible scenarios that are very likely to happen to people. The media may overdo it a little, but they do help save lives in situations like this.
Okay. Way to get wicked serious about it.
Loss of heat. Own warm shit. You live in New England. You should know better and be prepared with a propane stove and some dehydrated food. As for pipes bursting, run a trickle of water so they don't burst. In short, don't be a pussy. It's New England. And you can own a wood stove, or make an easy rocket stove in your fireplace, or make one with a vent pipe out the window to keep the house just above the pipe's bursting temperature. There are so many easy ways to be prepared for this stuff. It's 2 feet of snow, not a big deal. How many feet did Buffalo get? You don't hear them bitching.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. Not everyone is smart. Not everyone watches or listens to the news and weather either. Underestimating a storm like this can be bad. This may not be historic, but it's not average for this time of year. A blizzard is not an annual event.
I'm pretty sure that blizzards are an actual event in New England. Here's a list on Wikipedia that I've supplied to show you. Lists of any SIS storms. Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
As for some not being smart enough to be prepared, that's Darwinism of the modern age. Oh, list of storms means nothing. Notable storms don't count in my book, Maddie. Laugh out loud. You're so smart, Maddie. Please sign my encyclopedia.
Seriously? There is at least one significant or greater storm almost every year going back decades. I'm sorry if facts upset you, but they make a stronger argument than your hearsay. As for throwing stones, that doesn't help prove your point at all. And if you're going to be a dick about it, you just use the wrong "you're" there. I suppose it's supposed to be "you are," the contraction of "you are." Why be a dick, Mike? All right. Let's dispense with this fucking foolery. This whole skit is blowing up in my face. I can't fucking take it anymore. I tried to do a funny bit about this Facebook post, which started off, it's just idiotic. People bitching about the weather in this past storm, which was incredible. I loved it. It was an awesome storm. But here we are, looking at this 41 fucking comments. It's sad. It's fucking sad. People getting personally... I don't want to look at it anymore. It's just making me furious. People getting so personally wrapped up in a fucking conversation on Facebook. And they just... It takes me I've just stepped out of that grind of the comment chains on Facebook and just jacking off to that red number on your smartphone telling you you've had a comment or a like or a notification of some fucking kind. But But just that really is the icing on the cake, just to see my friends engaged in a 41 comment chain talking about someone remarking that the storm was overhyped. And, you know, it's ironic that the person who started the line of, you know, aggression is also the one who taps out first. But I don't even want to talk about this crap anymore. The storm was beautiful, guys, and if you didn't get outside and immerse yourselves in that beast, and you really missed out. A great winter storm is just an excellent way to conjure all kinds of meditative thoughts. It's very quiet, it's very still. It's a beautiful time to get outside. It's a way that you can, I feel like you can balance yourself out. Experiencing a storm like that with the weather and the wind and the cold and the snow and the drifts and all of it, it really just helps round you out. You should experience things like that and immerse yourself in it. Not saying, sleep outside with no tent or something. I'm just saying go for a walk or go shovel. I would go outside during the storm periodically during the night and just go out and shovel just because I wanted to experience a winter storm. Um, Something about the winter time, it really just it invigorates me. I just really identify with the cold. I really like it. I mean, maybe it's somewhere down in that I have that caveman ancestor in my genetic memory that likes the remembers the ice age as good times. I'm sure it was in a way. I mean, there were no governments, and you had, but it was really that was survival from day to day. Everywhere you went, you were surviving. And I mean, that's like the epitome of Katie Bowman's natural movements. Is just would be a total reversal of the hunter gatherer culture, where you walked for water, walked to shit, walked to eat. Everywhere you went, you walked and did everything walking. And I think the changes we made towards this where our society is now, they've been natural and they've been gradual. We wanted to do things easier. It was a rough world, and we wanted to shape it and change it, and we had the power and creativity to do that. So we've kind of landed ourselves in this comfy jail that we're in now. And I think we just have to turn off the wrong devices and turn on the right ones. Instead of wasting your fucking time bitching about a fucking Facebook comment. I hate Facebook so fucking much for this bullshit. And you asshole. I can't fucking talk about you, but I don't want to do anything but talk about your stupid fucking ass. Sorry, people that are listening to this, for all the cursing. I'm a really vulgar guy. I learned to really cuss like a sailor in 7th grade Catholic school, and it really took. And working at Boy Scout camp and all that just made it all the more, all the better. It's just, anyways. But you fucking jerk, you know who you are. You started all this bullshit. Facebook is not a god, okay? Stop treating it with such reverence. Okay? This is the internet, and the internet is freedom, not structure, okay? People can say what they want, do what they want, and have any the we all have we all have the right to have our own opinions about anything. No one has to conform to some kind of mode or just worldview, you jerk. And that's all I got to say. Sorry for offending you personally, but anyways, folks, sorry. I don't want to dip into the bile. Let's get our feet out of the river Styx and come back Achilles. All right? Strength, immunity, invulnerability. Let's focus on those things. Let's meditate on just being bulletproof for a minute. Meditate on just flinging ourselves out into the snow and sitting cross-legged style like some kind of Tibetan monkey on the side of a mountain. That's what I want to do. Weather like this reminds me of like the magic card for Balduvian Horde, and just running down a mountainside with blue paint on and like wearing furs, looking, like a wildling or something from Game of Thrones. I fucking love that feeling. I love the feeling that winter gives you. It I bet you that, back to that genetic memory thing. I bet you it's just so strong in us because the ice age was so rough. Because we made it through the ice age. Oh man, I mean, maybe we're just. Why would we like it though? If we remember the ice age, well, maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm a sicko, and I just like the winter, and I like the feeling that it reminds me of the ice age somewhere down deep in the cockles of my heart. Oh, it was a pretty cool time. I mean, we really have no idea of what really went on during the ice age. There's a lot of alternative archaeology out there. And Graham Hancock's pretty much the main man. I mean, there's other dudes too. Randall Carlson's another good guy to get into. He's going to be on the Joe Rogan podcast coming up February 7th. Doing a little free advertising for old Rogues. But yeah, he's a good guy to check out. But Graham Hancock, I mentioned, I think, first podcast. He's wrote several books. His first big one was Fingerprints of the Gods. But the one I really got into was Underworld. Underworld is all about ice age topography, sea level, like It's about like underwater ruins and other ancient sites around the world, and how his hypothesis that during the ice age the ice caps are much larger, and when that happens, he explained it like you take like a soccer ball filled with jelly, and you can press on one side of the soccer ball, and it will bulge out in opposition to that pressure on another part of the soccer ball, usually close by. So in like Northern Europe and shit, the English Channel, there was like a land bridge between England and France, and in there the Celtic Shelf was above the surface of the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of Spain. All the coastlines were lower in Europe and in the Mediterranean. I mean, he even I believe it was him. He hypothesized that the Mediterranean Ocean Sea might have even at one point have been some sort of below sea level bog or lake type thing. It wasn't actually a sea, and the Iberian Peninsula, or like the Straits of Gibraltar, that whole area of Spain and Morocco was at one point like a plug, and when the ice caps were melting and crashing and uh, the sea levels were rising, all those areas became, flooded out, inundated with seawater and under the ocean. Malta in the Mediterranean was submerged. Half the island is submerged. For those of you who don't know, Malta is an island in the Mediterranean Sea. Is it the sea? No, it's the sea. Whatever. It's an island in the Mediterranean that has some of the um, until recently oldest megalithic ruins in Europe, and you can go there and find these places, like this place called the Hypogeum, which is under the ground. It's like a solar like a solar temple, and there's I believe the other one's Gigantum. Oh boy, I wish I knew the actual name of it. I think it is Gigantum or something. Anyways, the whole island is just covered in crazy megalithic ruins, huge stones and triliths and dolmens and all kinds of Stone Age architecture. And it's honeycombed with caves. And there's a local story that I heard when I was reading about Malta. I think it was off the Wikipedia page, that a group of kids went exploring in one of these caves in Malta, and they got lost. And the folk story is that, they heard these kids like shouting all over the island for months. It was kind of a creepy thing. But yeah, apparently there's just the whole island is honeycombed with caves. And besides Stone Age architecture, there's a whole island itself. The city of Valletta on Malta was built up by the Knights Templar. Not the Knights Templar, I'm sorry, the Knights of St. John, hospitalers, um, they after fleeing the Holy Land, they kind of hopped along the Mediterranean from Cyprus to Rhodes and then to Malta. And in Malta, this is where they existed during the kind of um, late Middle Ages into like the Renaissance times. I think, yeah, 16s, 1500s, around there. I have to check that book again. But anyways, that's not the point. They built the whole city up. So it's all done up in this kind of late medieval sort of architecture, and they built all these fortresses, and they ended up fighting off the Turks at one point. It was another like huge battle where they were supremely outnumbered, uh, and they ended up forcing it to terms. It's pretty amazing what they were able to do. They were a really cool force at one time operating. When you read about their history, they were really cool. In comparison to the Knights Templar, who are different. They get a lot of, they're very popular from the Assassin's Creed stories or video games. The stories about them from the games, but a lot of it is just sort of hooey. But they were a large and mysterious organization. They definitely acquired a lot of power and knowledge. But that's just, we all die though. So who the fuck cares? Now it's interesting shit. It really is. There's so much to our world that is undiscovered, but we don't have a lot of time to discover it. And you may believe in reincarnation, that we'll be back again. But what if you get reincarnated into something else, some form of punishment, like a punishment? What if you got reincarnated as like one of those bioluminescent jellyfish in the bottom of the Mariana Trench or something? Can you imagine that life? Living in darkness. Like, what if it's so far fetched? What if like human souls were? What if those are like? Those are little private hells. Like you have to be this tiny little terrified thing floating in this just sea. Maybe it's probably not. That's not true. That can't happen because I don't think their brains are even big enough to make thoughts or well, doesn't really matter. What if it's just your spirit is trapped in that thing, and it's just anglerfish, and those weird. God, what the heck was that? There's like a shark. It's like a shark. It's like the goblin shark. I think that's what it is. Ugh, that's a terrifying world. Like a world of darkness. Can you imagine like if our world at one point had there was no light and the kind of animals that lived during that stretch of time before there was uh I don't know, light. That would be crazy if there was life before that. The Hindus say that there's only really two phases: the light of Brahma and the night of Brahma, or day of Brahma and light of Brahma, day of Brahma and the night of Brahma. In the day of Brahma, life is manifest, and in the night, it's not. So who knows what that means? I guess it just means there is no life. So things are developing and changing for the day. But we're firmly in the day right now, and it's billions of years, I suppose. That's what I've gathered from the internet and some people that I talked to at a coffee shop. No, I've read about it. Yeah, just the gist of it all is fucking get off the Facebook and stop making these rants and just I just put pictures up now. I don't say shit. I don't say anything on Facebook. I hate it. Especially now, I was warned by my friend that if I got the app on my phone, that was it. It would be a wrap. And it really was. It was a wrap. I fought it for a little while, but you see that see that red dot? That red dot means someone's touching your life. They're tickling your soul. Really, it's just like tickling your ego, really. I mean, your ego just loves Facebook. Your ego loves. I'm glad I haven't really gotten into Twitter too much. You know what though? No, because I have gotten on Twitter, and Twitter, there's just all the dudes I'm following are just posting news and posting information. If I start seeing anybody who's up just posting just jerky crap, personal crap, just cut them off. Just cut it out. You don't need to surround yourself with that. You need to lift yourself up. You need to pull yourself out of this funk. So, just surround yourself with things that are gonna teach you. Stay off e-bombs. Only go to the subreddits that are teaching you how to woodwork or fucking fix a snowblower. And only play video games on Sundays. Well, no one's perfect. I'm gonna take a break. We'll be back after this short musical interlude. Surprise.
No need for alarm. Right now I'm cruising to the sounds of my enhanced CD bomb. Tell me where you at, I will be there in 10 seconds flat. You know I got your back, I'll be there just in time to counteract.
I hope everybody out there is fired up, because I certainly am. That was the instrumental from Busta Rhymes, Fired Up. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, RobbocasT is not allowed to play copyrighted music, so that might be the reason why you haven't heard my podcast yet. But we are doing all we can to change that and to get around the rules of the man, so we continue now with the rest of the show. Folks, Twitter, it's alive. And it's touching me in a way that I never thought I would ever experience. I tweeted Tom Segura twice, and he favorited those tweets each time. That really just... my ego is getting such a boost that, I made this whole stink earlier that Facebook was just all about glorifying yourself, and now here I am telling you it's so good to talk to a celebrity and have them notice you. Wow, what a feeling that is, to have Tom Segura favorite my tweets. Such a blast to the old balls. Feel like a real stalker. Feel like a real fucking crazy psycho. Actually had a celebrity, someone I consider a celebrity, noticed me personally in a way that is probably so, like, for them it's like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny. For me, it's like, oh, Tom Segura, he favorited me. Not really, guys. I'm just blowing it up for fun. This has been such a beautiful day outside. It was relatively warm for this time of year, but it was nice and sunny. Got out for a good walk at lunchtime. The weather this time of year is just so nice. It really... Let's change gears and just talk about the weather and being outside and the crispness of the air. You notice the evergreens more this time of year because there's nothing else to compete with them, so that deep green that they have really stands out against the backdrop of the white snow. Last night I saw a couple deer on my way around town, and they really stood out against that all white backdrop. So it's just like black lines and white when it comes to, driving past trees and snow. And anything that's going to stand out, whether it's a rock or an exposed like ridge, it tends to pop out for me because the up and down, the vertical lines are That's what's normal. Anything that stands out in that, uh, the male eye is drawn to emotion, and I think that those things are we're drawn to them. Train yourself in that way too. Go out in the woods. If you wear glasses, take them off and try to look at the entire area in front of you. Become aware of your peripheral vision. Take your hand and go from the front. Put your arm out in front of you and slowly bring it out to your side. So it's just outside of your vision. Keep looking forward and wave your hand back and forth as you bring it back behind your head, further around, closer to your back, and keep waving it. And when it's in your, it's amazing that you can see it in your peripheral vision when it's, behind your back. You can still sense the motion, which is pretty awesome. So try to encompass that. Encompass. I keep saying encompass all the time. When you're out in the woods, take time to go off the trail, find a nice rock or a log in an area where you're allowed a wide field of vision, and just concentrate on some point off in the distance. And you focus on that point and then slowly build more and more awareness of your vision as you're sort of staring into space. Take your awareness away from that point and become more aware of the area around you that you can see and also sense with your eyes. You can see very well in front of you, but what's on the side of you is very blurry. When you're doing the hand trick, it almost feels for me like I'm seeing I'm not seeing the light necessarily from my hands, but I'm seeing the motion. I was actually listening to this podcast last week by this guy Daniel Kish. Daniel Kish. He's a blind guy. He lost his eyes when he was a toddler to some, I don't know, it was cancer or like a birth defect or something. But anyways, he lost his eyes when he was a kid, and he started clicking intuitively, and his mother didn't stop him from doing it. And he'd use this clicking method to develop echolocation, where he got to the point where he could ride his bike, walk unaided. He goes for hikes alone. Like, he brings a cane, but he never had a dog or someone for him to be on their arm. He had to learn all this by himself. But when they put him, this German lab put him under an MRI and scanned his brain activity, what they found was when they tested him, they had him click on different types of items, moving objects, static objects, soft objects, hard objects, to get an idea of his the brain activity. I believe amygdala, I think, is the fear center. I'm trying to remember the part of the brain they were talking about with vision. But anyways, the area of his brain associated with vision has different parts that handle different aspects of perception. So, like, there's an area that deals with movement, spatial awareness. There's an area for color, brightness, that sort of thing. So, anyways, when they tested him, color and brightness, light sensitivity, all that was dead. He was not visually accepting light in, but the spatial awareness area and the motion area were lighting up as if, he had sight. They weren't They weren't. It was just perfectly normal. So when they were this during this is Invisibilia. It's from Radiolab. When they interviewed him, they asked him, "It's like, so can you see?" He was like, "Yeah, I sort of can see." Like, it almost reminded me of Daredevil, the way he described it. He just sees shadows and blurs, kind of the way that my hands appear to me in my peripheral vision when I'm doing the awareness check. So it's amazing that we can do that. That we can that there's so much there's so much more to learn about life, folks, than just dicking around on Facebook and having little status wars and trying to cultivate an image so you can get laid or just advertise your life. I'm take it from a guy who has done that from time to time and picked and choose what I wanted to be seen seen in on Facebook, or very carefully have, it's almost like we run our own little PR campaigns through our Facebook pages. We want people to have a certain type of image of us, and even the websites that show Facebook fails and, you know, oddities and aberrant behavior on Facebook, or how can you believe this person put this photo up? All that in our loving of looking at it and ridiculing of it, all of that just feeds into the same cycle of, oh, Facebook, it's just, don't you remember the time before Facebook when we used AIM and you had your handle? And I had like 6 fucking handles. I had 6 different screen names that I would bounce back and forth on. So I got to the point where I could have conversations with myself, with other people. It was great. I loved AIM. It was so simple. And I had one of those Nokia phones that I really should have kept in the long run because it was bomb proof. I wish I knew the model number. Reddit people rep it all the time. But anyways, yeah, I remember the birth of that shit and seeing it on like a college guys who were a year ahead of me already in college in 2003, and they had the Facebook me, or 2004 they had Facebook me. What the fuck is Facebook? And then, it blew up. And now here it is. It's turning people against each other, and people want to pick and choose what they'll accept as worthy of their I just fuck it. I'm just tired of talking about this bullshit. Everyone out there, heed my words. You all need to exercise your primal scream. Use your barbaric yawp to frame it as Walt Whitman did. Just be a barbaric yawp. Get out there and embrace the barbarism. The Ice Age is upon us, New Englanders. The snow is on the ground. Get out there, stimulate your genetic memory. It's perfect. The way the way it looked today was beautiful. How can you not be inspired to savagery out there? To just let your savage spirit out, scream it, release it. You keep it pent up all the time. I was gonna say all week long, and you let it out for the weekend. You people don't let it out for the weekend. You New Englanders, you Connecticut people. I'm speaking to you, Connecticut. You don't let it out. Why are we so far up our own asses in this state? I don't get it. Everybody looks like. You just. I see too many walking Talbots ads. There's too many women wearing Talbots, and there's too many guys all going to Cabela's and buying their jeans. And they all. Where's all the funky people? In Hartford, I suppose, or around the colleges, but they're not real fucking Connecticut kids. Like the Wesleyan kids that lived in Middletown, they weren't from Connecticut. They were all from everywhere else, and they were only coming to Middletown for Wesleyan. Ugh, there's so many lamos. There's a lot of, I mean, there's cool people in this state because there are cool towns and there are shit towns. And I like the people that live in the cool towns, and it always tends to be in the country. But then it's just hard to meet those people. I don't know. I'm just dissatisfied with my own life, and projecting that onto other things. I'm blaming other people, and really, it's just my own situation. If I want to build a wigwam, no one's holding me back from building a fucking wigwam. I can go build one in my backyard. It's not my backyard, but I can build it in the backyard and have a sweat lodge in it. I've talked about this shit enough, and I really should do it. So I need someone out there who wants to be in a sweat lodge with me to come with me and help me build this sweat lodge wigwam. We don't have to sing. There's not going to be any special Native American medicines. It's purely going to be a sweat lodge. That was disgusting, but this is how we do it, raw and uncut. So one of you lucky people out there is going to be able to join me in a sweat lodge. And there's nothing sexual about this. This is purely for teaching, purely for experiencing your own body. If I could tell you, I've done a sweat lodge. It was called a Tamaz call after the Mayan. It's like a Mayan word for sweat lodge. It was with this group called Kapuli, and they're based out of Chaplin, Connecticut. This guy Bert Gunn, he's the leader now. After their teacher, this man named Talal Kalal, was a really wise man, but he passed away recently. And Bert, I guess, is the leader now. I've fallen out of contact with him. It's a little messy. Not with them, but anyways. So, at this sweat lodge we went to it was just after the New Year, or just before the New Year. I think it was actually the solstice. That's what it was, the solstice sweat lodge. That's exactly what it was. And it was an incredible experience for me. I was stone sober, not a drop to drink, not a bit to puff, nothing at all. I was completely straight. I had, I think at the time I was smoking cigarettes, but we got into this little wigwam. There was a fire burning outside with a pile of rocks in it, and this guy named Coyote was tending the fire. And men had to wear bathing suits. We didn't have to wear shirts, but we had to bring a towel. Women had to wear like a bathing suit or a light dress. We all had sage branches that we were given, and we all filed into the wigwam. It was very small, but surprisingly, we could fit. We had about 10 people there. We all fit inside it, including 2 children. And the youngest, I think, was about 6. So that was a real trip. Anyway, so we all pack into this thing. It becomes very claustrophobic immediately. And there's still light coming in from outside. They haven't closed the flap. Coyote goes outside and grabs 4 large stones from the fire and brings them inside, then closes the flap. And immediately, like, the only thing you can see are the glowing red stones, and they are like red hot. And the teacher encouraged us to look at the stones, to stare at them, to meditate on them, and just to imagine as we looked at them what things that we saw, just whether they were animal shapes or sometimes you could see a face, or it was all just it was the play of the heat along the surface of the stone, It was amazing. They did some chants and poured water with, I believe, sage and some medicine over the stones. And immediately the glowing stops. And where before there was a lot of heat, the stones threw off a lot of heat. Once the steam hit me and the darkness, and I became aware of the darkness around me, it's like total darkness. Whereas before you could see the stones glowing, but you couldn't see people. But you at least had the glowing stones. But once the smoke hit them, the glowing stopped, and it was just blackness. And when when you see steam, and when you're in the kitchen and you dump the pasta in the colander and this cloud of steam comes up, you can jerk your head back because it's a reflex. You don't want to inhale hot steam, but in the Tamaz call, I had no idea it was coming to me, and man, when it hit me, it was such a wave of like panic and fear. I had nowhere to run. I couldn't get up. I couldn't get out because the door was shut. And total blackness and just this fear, this gnawing fear. It was like, you're going to freak out. You're going to have a panic attack. You're going to have a heart attack. This is bad. Like I had never put myself in a situation where I was trapped in basically a small little cage with 10 other people with hot steam, like scalding hot steam. It wasn't scalding, but it was very warm and very intense and very, uh, to me, I mean, I had not experienced something like that before. I've taken hot showers, but this is nothing compared to a hot shower. I mean, those stones are probably at least a couple hundred degrees, I'm sure. You know, when that steam hit me. So, anyways, this feeling of fear that I had was, I could almost taste it. I could certainly feel it in my whole body, and it drove me to hallucinate. I was hallucinating, basically. I was seeing colors all around me, streams of color, like borealis effects over my eyes, shapes that would come and go, shadows that would pass. But really, it was just I was trying to. My eyes were just bugging out because of the darkness and the adrenaline that was pumping through my body. I was freaking out, but I wasn't saying anything. It was all internal. And I realized that I remembered that there across from me is a 6-year-old kid who, the last moment of light that I had, I actually saw him before the flap was shut. I saw him just sitting there, legs crossed, hands on his legs. At that moment, I was already freaking out a little bit because I knew, oh, he's shutting the door. This is really crazy. But when I remembered, he's just sitting there, just couldn't be bothered. Done this before, been doing it since he was old enough to walk. So if he could do it, I could do it. And then at that moment, the letting go of worrying about dying from steam, just that silly whiteness. It's not whiteness. It's just ignorant, just kid, just privileged kid crap, adolescent bullshit. I lost it in that Tamaz call. Or I realized how I could lose it and how I could just chop it away. It was just by sacking up and doing something that's strange and difficult and just trying it, because you're not going to die. You're not going to frickin' die in a Tamaz call. So try it, everybody. Just get sweaty. It wasn't even, and it's not even like, yeah, get sweaty, exercise. And this was different. This was the steam draws the toxins out of you. You stink. Like, your sweat smells funny. All my sweat smelled very metallic, but it washes off of you. You do a couple rounds and you basically wash yourself out. It's like dry cleaning yourself. It's phenomenal. And Bert would put, sorry, the leader would put different medicines on the stones, and the smells that you would get. Like, you say, okay, we're putting sweetgrass on here, and elk medicine, and the smells would change. And we did a chanupa ceremony, which is a peace, kind of like a peace pipe. It's a tobacco pipe with different medicine in it. It's not weed or anything really hallucinogenic, but it's just herbal medicine that you're smoking, and man, you feel phenomenal. It's just such a great experience, and I've been wanting to do it as a personal meditation thing for a long time. I know I've said before, you go running when it's hot out because I like that sweating. I like to work the toxins and everything out of my body. And I'm knowing you. I know there's a lot of bullshit associated with toxins, but you're supposed to. Sweating is part of your respiratory system. You should encourage it, and even if it's not running, walk when it's just, and do sweating, do sweats, saunas get a bad rap, I think, because of the whole old men in towels and nakedness and that thing, but I definitely enjoy doing a sweat lodge ceremony. And it gives you time to think, and even in a way is a little bit of a sensory deprivation experience. There's a lot of sensory input that's happening. You can't really see, but every other sense is working overtime. And I also think that the mental state that it put me in with having to face fears and uh, when you don't have when your eyes aren't there to distract you, it gives your mind a break, I think, and it allows you to focus on something else that may be left on a back burner. Maybe something that comes up in your dreams because you just this world is very distracting. So that ties back into meditation too. We should all be spending more time meditating, less time checking our statuses. Don't get stuck in the past. If you find yourself up at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, going back through some girl's Facebook page and you're looking through her pictures and you're liking shit from 2012, or you're just looking, get out of the past. Let go of that shit. Facebook is a trap. It's a scam. It's a grind. Let go of it. Get out of it. You are not your Facebook page. You are not your profile. People make mistakes, and having a permanent record of your photos and your misdeeds and your missteps and your drunken outbursts and your bad morning, all that crap. You just want to take it. I just want to take it up and ball it up and chew it up and spit it out, stomp it into the dirt, throw it away. You can be whoever you want to be, and Facebook keeps you penned into a trap. Damn it, I'm giving more time to Mark Zuckerberg and his demon invention, his panopticon. Go outside, track deer, climb on top of a rock, look at the sun, stare at the sun. Get up in the morning before the sun rises and go outside and meditate and stare at the sunrise. Focus on the distance and exercise your eye muscles. We're all looking at stuff that's too close to our eyes, and it's messing with us. Katie Bowman says that we're all like orcas at SeaWorld. And if you've ever been to SeaWorld, which I have, I touched the blackfish's tongue. That whale that killed that lady, I got to go up and I got picked on the Jumbotron, and I got to go up and touch that whale's mouth and tongue, and I got to touch it on the nose, me and 3 other kids. First of all, that orcas are huge, and it was fucking scary. Those teeth are really big. I mean, it was friendly, but that was the blackfish. That whale killed, I think it might have even been the lady that was with him that day. That might have been the lady who got killed. I don't know for certain. But I'm pretty sure that it was that lady. Anyway, what the fuck did that have to do with anything? Right. Orcas and tanks, they have a droopy fin, especially the males, because the male has a taller fin than the female. But your fins are get droopy because they don't swim enough. She says that. By the way, Katie Bowman is a kinestologist. She's a scientist that studies body movement and human mechanics. She advocates that everyone gets out and walks at least 3 miles, 2 to 3 miles a day. Encourage your kids to walk. Incorporate eating with walking, obtaining food with walking, playtime with walking. Just incorporate more walking into your activities, more movement, more stretching, more just more bending and lifting and squatting and all of that. Just more dynamic movements into your daily routine. Please, for the love of God, do it. You will save yourself so much grief. Don't go crazy. Don't throw like gymnastics into it or anything, but just be more active in your day-to-day life. But anyway, the walking. So these orcas, their fins start to droop because they're stuck in these tanks, and they only swim around in these little predetermined patterns and do these same tricks and antics. They don't get the space that they need. These are ocean predators. These are animals that range thousands of miles through different types of seas and depths and currents. And these fins, they build a hardiness. The hardiness of their fin is created by their environment. And if they are not in the environment that makes them robust and makes them strong and vibrant and dangerous, then they're going to be all floppy and psychotic and repressed. And they're going to take their trainer and drag it to the bottom of the tank and smash it or drown. They drowned her because it's so frustrating. That's where people are at these days. Think about it. Everyone is a droopy whale. We're all droopy orcas. All of us. No matter what you do. You might have a forest ranger job and you might be out there, protecting the wild. And according to the forest ranger hype reality TV show, they're manhunters. We're stopping poachers. We're manhunters. Bullshit. Checking fishing licenses, making sure everyone's paid their due and proper to be able to use the king's forest. But that's your floppy fin. You're stuck in a bureaucracy. You're part of the system, and it beats you down. We got to stop these floppy fins. You got to get out. You got to exercise all the aspects of your life. You got to be creative. You got to be fearless. Think about the woman who was born without fear. Her amygdala was calcified. She couldn't feel fear. She had no concept of the sensation. She couldn't even draw a fearful face from memory. Think about that shit. How amazing is that? Guys, gals, aliens, hominids, we gotta use our whole being to change the world. Don't do things because they're safe. Do things because they're not safe, because there's a risk. You gotta take risks. You gotta be unsafe. Gotta learn. You gotta change. We all have to change. That was such a... what a load of horse shit. Change. But it's true. Can't remain static. A static defense only lasts for so long. Static fortification is easily overcome by movement. By fluidity of force. So either you're going to get rolled on or you're going to roll. There's no such thing as halfway crooks in this world. Move past these pages, people. Get off the internet. Start picking up books again. We're choking on this life. back to nature, people. Back to nature. Either we're going to get back to it or it's going to get back to us. So be prepared. I want everybody to do your homework tonight. I want everyone to make a sound. I want you to get out of your house, get outside, go for a hike, do it in your backyard. If you even, do it in the backyard. Take your balls right out of your shorts, wear your ovaries on the outside, or better yet, ladies, just take your top off. Go outside and just let out that barbaric yawp. Just do it. Just throat sing, just scream, just war whoop. Just, if ladies, be your Boudica on your chariot. Guys, just think Attila the Hun, think Conan, think Arnold Schwarzenegger and fucking Predator. Just, "Ah!" That's your homework. Let's end tonight's show on a mindful note, a peaceful note, and hopefully this music will be a boon to you and help you slip off into a restful sleep or to prepare you for a late night shift. Maybe you just need something right now to strengthen you, to fill you with wonder, or to help you to focus on vastness or insignificance. And that is in no way a slight to the importance of our divinity or our place in the world. When you consider us in our form to the rest of the universe, we're quite insignificant. So, this is some Tibetan chant that I heard on the Duncan Trussell show. It's really great. It's about 3 hours long, but I'm only gonna fade it out for you. So if you've used this podcast to fall asleep, I wish you a long and healthy and restful sleep. And I hope that your dreams are lucid and full of great knowledge and teaching. And you awaken refreshed and ready to face the challenges of a new day. And I hope that for all of you, you have a good night or a good day. And don't be afraid. God bless, and I love you. See you later.